Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We give thanks and praise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has made uh, meeting a reality, who has spared and strengthened our lives up to today. We say Alhamdulillah. Um, Brothers and sisters, both male and female, far and near, you are all welcome to today's discussion. And inshallah, without wasting much of our time, our discussion this morning shall center around a very vital matter, which is taqwa. And when you say taqwa, what does it implies? It means the consciousness, alertiveness about our Creator, about Allah, the consciousness of Almighty God. As the topic implies, when it's consciousness or alertness, is human nature. Human being, we are very sensitive to things around us. We are very alertive. We are so much keen about happening around us. So when you say a taqwa, is more or less likened to being conscious, being alertive. That is why, if you look at the Quran Kareem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala call our attention to this very topical issue, which where he said in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wal tanzur nafsun ma qaddamat lighadi wattaqullaha inna Allah khabir bima ta'malun. Allah said, oh, you believe, fear your God, be conscious of your God, and you should always be futuristic. You should always be alertive. You should always be conscious of your moral, of things that happen to you in advance. It means you should look at the consequence of every action that you engage in, because there is no tomorrow if you don't have today. So whatsoever you do now has a repercussion tomorrow, has nemesis, has consequence. And I said we should be aware of our consequence for every action that we engage in. And he said again, Wattaqullah, he said, fear Allah, be conscious of Almighty Allah. Inna Allah khabir bima ta'malun. You should know that this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you or inform you about everything you do, everything you perform. So it is very essential as an individual to know this. So when you say taqwa, as mentioned, how do we define it? First and foremost, we should know that taqwa has to do with mindset. Mind is not something that can be assessed physically. It's not something that it can be seen like as in concrete. It's not concrete. It's not a crystal. So it is metaphysical. It is hidden. So it is more or less like something that has to do with the mindset. That is what Prophet Muhammad said that at-taqwa huna. He said the fear of Allah, the consciousness of Allah is here. And in another portion of the hadith, we say that in Allah la yansu ila suwarikum la ajsamukum walakinna yansu ila qulubikum wa amalikum. He said Allah does not concern your physical appearance, does not concern about your complexion, but is concerned about your state of mind, your mindset, your spiritual composition, and the workability of this spirituality we're talking about, the fruits of your labor. Allah is so concerned about it. So therefore, as an individual, we should first understand the fact that taqwa is something that has to do with your mind, your soul. And that is why Allah SWT said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Shams, it said, وَالنَّفْسِ وَمَنْ سَوَّاهَا فَعَلَيْهَا فُجُورًا وَتَقْوَاهَا. It said, it swear by the soul, by mind, and by the nature of knowing the do's and don'ts, of being aware of evils and righteousness. The mind is aware of evils and is also aware of virtue because it's natural. Allah has put an indication. When you do good, your mind will let you know that what I'm doing is good. When you do the other way around, the mind will indicate you. Unless I swear by this nature of the soul. Whoever purifies his soul, such person is successful. Whoever neglects his soul, whoever doesn't care about the purification of his soul, such person is a loser. Is destroyed. And Prophet Muhammad made you and I realize this fact that Allah, he said, be aware. If you just at the mood to go, he said we have within the system of every human being a particular flesh. He said if this flesh is healthy, if this flesh is pure, if this flesh is living normal, the whole human life is healthy, is normal. But if this flesh is abnormal, is not unhealthy, is not in good state, then the whole of human life is not in good state. And they say, "Hala, he said, beware. This has to do with what? Soul, your mindset. And we're talking about the taqwa, which is the housing place for the fear of Almighty Allah. So if the soul is not in good state, it means everything that will be within that soul, within the heart, will also not be in good state. And secondly, when talking about the fear of Allah, the taqwa, it doesn't have anything to do with the physical appearance. It doesn't have anything to do with your beard. It doesn't have anything to do with your rosary. It doesn't have anything to do with your mode of dressing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us realize in the Quran, He said, إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَىٰ وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. He said, we created you in nation, we created you in tribes, we created you in male, female, we created you in different dimensions. This is only to identify, to recognize one another. But the best of you are those who have the fear of Allah. The best of you are those who are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So from this ayah, we can deduce that when you say fear of Allah, it has two dimensions. Human being have two dimensions. In your privacy and in your communal interaction. So when you're in privacy and you're in communal, state, I mean, when you're with people in society, you're relating with people, what the state of mind. And when you're alone, you're in isolation, What's your state of mind? It's very essential. Some people today, when they are in the community, they are in the social gathering, they are intermingled with people, they try as much as possible to, assume the state of taqwa. They pretend, they, use what we call pretense, under pretense, to display taqwa. You see them avoiding evils. You see them, trying to be conscious of what they ought and what they do. But when they are alone, when they are in privacy, when they are in isolation, you see them other way around. That is when they begins to violate. They begin to kick against the injunction of the creating. They corrupt everything that is, divine from Almighty Allah. So that is why taqwa can also be a striking balance between your privacy and your communal states. Your privacy and social interaction must be in consonant, must agree together. If there is contradiction, you don't have the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And thirdly, about taqwa is more or less like the what we call connectivity, what connects every human being with his creator. Because it's very hidden, nobody can predict it. That's what I said, Inna Allah ya'lam man ittaqa. It is only Allah who knows those that fear him, who knows those who are conscious of him. It's only the one that is aware. And that is why Allah has chosen the Taqiyun, people of taqwa, people that fear him, as his best friend, as his companion. Let's say, Inna awliya Allah alladhina amanu la khawfa alayhim wa lahum yahzanun alladhina amanu wa kanu yattaqun. Let's say the friends of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah's companion, they will never experience grief, they will never be sober, and their quality they are those who have believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are faithful, and they are having taqwa. They are conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a good quality. What qualifies you, or what take you to the position of Allah's friend, is taqwa. And if you look at this very well, you will see that taqwa is so essential. And if you look at every aspect of human life, both the social aspect, the religious aspect, the educational aspect, the political aspect, the economic aspect, everything has connection with taqwa. You can do it with taqwa. You can do it with conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking about Hajj, performance of Hajj, he said, فَتَزَوَّدُوا فَإِنَّ خَيْرَ الزَّادِ التَّقْوَى. He said, if you want to embark on Hajj, on pilgrimage, prepare, and the best preparation is what? The taqwa, the consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking about Salah, the 5 daily prayer that we observe, the salawat, he said, فَإِنَّهُ كَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. He said, this salah is very enormous, but it's very easy for those that have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking about social interaction, justice in the Quran. Allah said that, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تُؤَدُّوا الْأَمَانَةَ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهَا وَإِذَا أَحْكَمْتُم بَيْنَ النَّاسِ فَاحْكُمْوا بِالْعَدْلِ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah said that Allah has ordered you to return justice to those who deserve the justice. And when you uphold judgment between people, you should be just. It said, fear Allah, for Allah will inform you about everything that you had put forth for yourself. When Allah subhanahu was talking about mode of dressing for both male and female, He said, وَالْبَاثُ taqwa. He said, the wears, the dress mode of fear of Allah is what He wants from you. When Allah subhanahu was talking about fasting, He also emphasized taqwa, the fear of Allah. So this fear of Allah cannot be overemphasized. It's so key and so germane for every individual to have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why here we are today. We tend to adhere to technology. Technology is very good. It's good to go, extra mile to develop in a society. Today, we have seen technology versus taqwa. Which one do we take today? Despite the fact that, or despite the advancement in our technology, we still have corruptions. We still have a lot of vices everywhere. But when there is taqwa, corruption is reduced to its barest level because it's an inborn. It's natural. Just like the case of somebody who said that if you try to just oppose between technology and taqwa, which one do we adhere to? When you say talk about technology today, we are advanced to the extent that we can set CCTV camera everywhere. They can survey or can monitor every action human being, display. But in spite of all this, people bypass. People look for shortcuts. People, try as much as possible to manipulate the camera because it's human being that made it. So anything made by human being is bound to be modified. You can modify it, you can change it, you can alter it, you can infiltrate it, you can adulterate it. But what is done by Almighty God, there's no way you can modify it. It's natural. Somebody who just cover up the CCTV camera, you want to perpetrate evil, say cover it up or use face mask. Let me use face mask so that I won't be identified. But somebody who has the fear of Almighty Allah, whether there is CCTV camera, whether there is anything to monitor him, he knows that Allah is there with him. He's aware, he's conscious that Allah is with me. Allah is Al-Basir, Al-Sami', Al-Alim. Al-Basir can see, he sees me. Al-Basir, he sees everything I'm doing. He sees me beyond my physical appearance. Al-Sami', Allah can listen. He listens to what my expression, both facial expression, both physical expression. He knows everything. He can decode it. Al-Alim, Allah is aware. He knows everything about me. So the consciousness is there. He knows he's accountable to his creator. He will never engage in anything that is incriminating, anything that is ungodly. He avoid everything because of the fact that he has the fear of Almighty Allah in him. And another thing we need to get right about the fear of Almighty Allah, about this taqwa, is that the taqwa is the only means for human success, for human development, for human growth, for human rest of mind. Now that will take us to looking at the fruit of taqwa, the consequence of taqwa when you have the fear of Allah. What is the end result? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in Surah Hashim, He said that وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. There are two benefits in this ayah. The first one is وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. If you have the fear of Almighty Allah, you always have breakthrough. There's a breakthrough for you. No matter hard, no matter how hard, no matter how tedious, no matter how hard the situation might be for you, if you have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you always find a way out. You create a way for you out of no way. You pave way for you. You made it. You're going to make it. And secondly, if you have the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will be provided with abundant provision, abundant blessing. If you have Allah taqwa, you will never lack money. You will never lack wealth. You'll be wealthy. You'll be financially buoyant because of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah said, وَلَوْ أَهْلُ الْقُرْآنِ آمَنَّا وَاتَّقْوَا لَفَتَحْنَا بَرَكَةً فِي السَّمَاءِ. Allah said, if the people of the township have the faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and are conscious of Him, He said, He will open the abundant blessing for them from the heaven. It's going to descend blessing upon them from the heaven. That is the implication, the consequence of taqwa. Number 3, if you have the fear of Almighty Allah, Allah will make you His partner. Will make you His friend. Inna awliya Allah la khawf alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. Your affair will ease all your fears for you. Inna Allah ma'alladhina taqaw. Allah is with those that are fear, that are conscious of Him, that fear Him. Is with them. And one with Allah is majority. If Allah is with you, no one can be against you. No weapon fashioned against you will prosper or shall prosper, because you stand by Him, you fear Him, you observe what you ought to observe, you go in line with His injunction. And number 4, if you have the fear of Almighty Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised for you. There's a promise. And the promise is paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in the Surah Al-Imran, He said, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى الْمَغْفِرَةِ وَجَنَّةِ أَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ. Allah said, strive towards attaining Allah's forgiveness and His paradise. And this paradise that is as wide as the 7 heaven and earth. أُعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. They are provided, they are promised for those that have the fear of Allah, those that are conscious of Almighty Allah. So your final abode, if you have the fear of Allah, is paradise. It's because it's promised already. لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. In this fear of Allah, we're talking about number 5. If you have the fear of Almighty Allah, you have everything. You have everything. You have the light. You have guidance. My brother, my sister, it behoves you and I to be conscious of our Creator, to fear Him alone, to be aware that He knows both the open and hidden about you. Stop lying. Stop fornicating. Stop deceiving. Stop your hypocritical attitude. Stop abusing people around you. Stop molesting your neighbor. Stop evils. Embrace virtue so that you will have the blessings from Almighty Allah, both in this life and the life to come. وأقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.